So, welcome on the webinar. The title is How to Talk with Your Children About Sex. But we will try to answer not only the question how to talk, but also why we shall talk to kids about sex and some other questions. And that would be also the kind of schedule for our webinar. So let's start first with the question why. Ania.
Why should parents talk to their children about sex? God has given us children, and with them He has given us a task. The task is prepare them to maturity in various areas of life. Unfortunately, the sex is area quite unique because the consequences of wrong decision in this area often last a lifetime. What children learn about now, when they're young, about sex will affect their lives in the future. Or sex will be a great adventure for them in marriage, or it will be a source of insatiable lusts, impurity, and various destructive actions. Okay.
So why we shall talk to children? And we as a parents, we love them the most, and we want to talk to them because some other people who do not love them may explain them what is the sex about in the way we do not want. Another thing, we know them the best. They are our children. We spend with them the time, and we know when to talk, what is important, and why. We also have our experience. Like me and Ania, we never had sex before our marriage. Some people maybe were in different situation, but we were there. We are experienced, and we know what to advise to our children, and they shall hear it from us. And another thing is that the world around our children is full of sex everywhere. If we want it or not, this is the world we live in, and they do not want good for our kids. They want to use them, they want them to use the sex for their purposes, not the purposes that God planned for this. And I've heard the illustration. This is the Polish 50 zlotys. It's about 12 euro or something like this. That when they train people, in these exchange places, when they train them how to see the difference between the real money and the fake money, they never give them the fake money to their hands. So they only touch and watch on the original. This is how they can see the difference. Sometimes they even don't see the important details. They just feel it. They just know what is the truth. And we believe that when we talk about sex to children, we shall tell the truth that is written in the Bible, and when we will talk about it, when we will live about it, and our kids, when they will meet sex which is not appropriate, they will feel it. We don't have to name everything for them. They would just feel it's fake, it's not true. So it is why it is important to talk about God's plan.
The question is when we should talk with children about sex. I can say whenever a child asks. For example, our Wojtek is almost 8, and he asked me one day, Wojtek is talking with me right now, asked me one day, Mom, what is a sex? Because we watched something in TV and was word sex, as somebody said. So Wojtek asked, what is a sex, Mom? I said, sex, because it's important to answer this question for him. So I said, sex is when two people is hugging one another without clothes, naked. Because it was on the level of 8 years person. So I understand he understood in this time. It's enough for him. It was enough answer for him in that time. And another example, our Marta is 18 years old, and she went to the high school, and when she was on first grade in high school, every girl described herself what orientations, sexual orientation are they.
It was in private conversation among
yes,
them.
In private
but you were kind of obliged to say it.
Yes, but for us it was like, wow, it's a topic in first grade in high school. But we have, because Marta is very open to us and we discuss about it. She just told us about it, what has happened in school. And because she's open and she wanted to share with us, so we had very good discussion about it. And it's an opportunity, it's like opportunity to catch a moment to talk about something what is important for your child in that time. So I can say, whenever child asks, whenever child wants to talk with you.
Another thing is when you see something that you do not feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
Like when the teacher would say at school that somebody from the class of your child was found during the break watching porno movies on the cell phone. It's obviously the time to talk about what the kids are doing there at school. Probably our kid was also somehow in touch with this activity, so we shall talk. And we shall start very early. We really, I don't know if you know, but we really like Josh McDowell and his books and talks. And he says the story that one of he has son and 2 daughters or 3 daughters. And one of the daughters, when she was 2, she said, "Daddy, I think I'm not finished." And he said, "Why you are not finished? Why do you think so?" And she said, "Because I still do not have penis." So these are very good situation. We can laugh a little bit, but we shall answer. So this is like kid wants to talk to us. We shall not say, "Oh, don't talk about it," or laugh at this only. We shall use the opportunity to talk. I remember we had with our older kids a lot of conversations about sex when we were traveling in a car. It was dark. It was good environment to ask questions and answers. So we should just answer is when to talk, whenever we see that there is a need, and when kids want to hear the answer, and we shall answer on their level.
So the summary of this part is: do not avoid, do not run away, do not change the topic. Because curiosity will not disappear, your child curiosity. Children will look for answers in the different place elsewhere, and not always where you would like to do, for them to do it. So, but they get a signal. At home, we don't talk about these things. So, and they will no longer ask about it.
Yes, if you do not answer, we don't want it.
Yeah. So.
What shall we talk? What shall we talk about? as I said, we shall talk about the biblical truth. So biblical truth is like, we know everybody, but that God created man and woman on his image and gave them the first great commandment: go to the world and fill it with people. And it is the main reason why God gave us sex, to fulfill his commandment. And today, our older kids in school, they hear that none of this is true, that everything is false. Yes, like they say, what, man? Woman? God? Everything is questioned today, yes? The question, the goal that God has an intention to us, that God has intention, that is questioned. Also, the questioned thing is the goal of sex. Isn't it the pleasure? Isn't it relax? So it's like in the garden, when snake came to Adam and Eve and said, did really God said so? So kids hear today all the time this question: is it really true? Is it really worth to wait with sex to marriage? The snake is talking to our kids today. Is pornography bad thing? Only I'm not doing this? These are the questions. Or I said yes and I said A and I have to say B. This is the saying in Poland. One of our friends, she is, I think, our age, maybe a few years older. She told us the story that she was in the high school kind of rather for boys. So there were maybe 2 or 3 girls in the class and the rest was guys. And she was kind of dating with one guy. She didn't fall in love with him, but they slept once. And then after a few months, she met the guy. She fell in love. They spent time, they had fun, they traveled. She knew it is the man she wants to spend the whole life with him. But when the first guy that she slept with heard about it, he came to her and said, hey, you already slept with me. You promised me you are mine. She didn't promise anything, but she kind of felt obliged. She married him, and it was not happy marriage.
They are divorced now.
Finally, they divorced after like 30 years or something. So this is the snake talking to our kids lies, and we need to talk the truth that make them aware of this. Or another lie: if I love him, do I need to have to sleep with him? For teenagers. So we shall read the Bible and talk the very basic things to our children. It is not topic for today. I just want to mention the singleness. It is also in God's plan to be a single, but the sex is for marriage. So we need to talk to kids. You can be single. That's okay. In heaven, we all would be single. Before marriage, we are single. When our husband or wife dies, we are singles. But sex is only for the marriage time. So the kids need to know about it. So we would like to tell from the Bible that the 3 things about sex: what is the goal of sex, why purity is important value, and what is love. So maybe Anya, I can start.
So sex has 3 goals. First, it's obvious. It's procreation. We know about it. It's a Genesis, for example, it's Genesis chapter 1, 28. So Josh said it's the most pleasant commandment, let's say. And its second goal is unity. It's also about Genesis. It's chapter 2, verse 124. Unity, spiritual, physical, mental. it's like replacing one type of intimacy, intimacy between parents and child. It's replacing to intimacy with husband and wife. So it's very important also, and it's only important to understand when husband and wife is closer to God. It's the best triangle in marriage. It's husband, wife, and God. And with husband is closer to God, it's the wife is closer to God. They are close to each other. Sex, because sex has also a spiritual dimension. Without this dimension, sex is empty. Why? Is empty, really? Yes, it is, because when we look at couples in our world, I think about celebrities. They have sex with anybody. If sex, and they are very attractive people, and if sex has only physically dimension, it should enough for them. But with this psychological, spiritually dimension, sex is empty, because it's not only physically, it's not only body, it's also about our soul, about our emotion, about who we are inside, not only who are we outside. Okay, so I think it's that makes sense. Okay, and the last goal of sex is recreation. Recreation, I mean just being, simply being with each other and have a good time together. It's like feel delight with each other. So it's all.
Another thing we shall talk to our kids about is purity. What is purity? So this is, I have it. This is a pure water in the glass, and this is unpure. It's tea. So what is purity? So purity is when we go in our life according to God's plan. Let me explain it on this picture. I don't know if you can see anything. Nothing. So, okay. So what we let's imagine. No, from Masturbation. Let's imagine this is, they call it the pyramid of the human's behavior. So on the top, it's like an iceberg going out from the water of oceans. So what is on the top, what we can see is our behavior. But the behavior have roots in something. Oh, it's better. Yeah, thank you. So this is the behavior, and it is what we see. We see that kids are involved in sex before marriage or are not. This is the behavior, yes? But the behavior comes out from something. There are values. If for kids sexual purity is important, they will not be involved in some activities. It's clear. If value for them is to be involved because I want to be popular, I want to do what everybody else is doing, or I want to listen to the World Health Organization that says that every human should be involved in multiple sexual relations, then I will do different things. But the question is, what is the base for values? The base for values are convictions. It is what we believe. if we believe that it is that human convictions, this is conviction, value, behavior. If we believe, deeply believe, that the best thing for us is God's plan, which is to be sexually pure till marriage, to be not active sexually till marriage, then value for us will be purity and we will not be involved. If we believe, oh, it doesn't matter, then value would be something else and would be behaving somewhere else. But the question is how to build convictions in our children that would be strong and they would be able to oppose the culture that is saying something else that God is saying. And the base for the convictions is relations. This is the kind of relations we have with our children. The kind of relations we have with our children would help them to have the right convictions. If they have good relations with us, it would be easier and very natural to take our convictions and our beliefs. If the relations would not be good, they would build relation with somebody else, somewhere else, and they will have their convictions, values, and finally behavior. So this is important to know. So purity is behaving according to God's plan. So purity outside of marriage is not having sex. Inside marriage, when we meet the three conditions Anya said, it was unity, it was procreation or recreation. This is also purity, but this is the sex inside of marriage. So we need to talk about it to children and say that purity is important and explain that it is the true, that it is the snake false. This is the devil's lie that everybody is doing it. There is a lot of young people all around who say, no, I want to be pure. I want to be abstinent till marriage. And you are not the only one. But we talk, as I mentioned earlier, we talk more about the relations in our course, how to build strong relations with children and pass the faith. But it is very important and I encourage to go deeper into this topic. So Anya, what is love?
Love. Love is the most, how to say, known word in the world. But what is a love? What is the definition on this word? So I think the definition comes from Ephesians chapter 5, verses 28 to 29. Husbands should love their wives, and they love their own flesh, as they love their own flesh. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one has ever hated his own body, but everyone nourishes and nurtures it, as does Christ the church. So the Josh McDowell has big, let's say, lecture about how this definition of love came from this chapter. But I can say very short about it. So love means to protect and supply. That is to provide everything that is needed for physical, emotional, social, etc. development, and to protect against what could interfere with this development. So once again, love means to protect and supply. Supplied, provide everything that is needed for physical, emotional, social, etc. development, and protect against what could interfere with this development. Doesn't make sense? like love. We love our children. We provide everything they need. Yes,
For growth.
for growth. Yes, and we protect them from illness or different problems they can disturb in this development, they can disturb in growing. So in this context, we can say God is love. That is, God protects and supplies us. How? how he does it? He gives us what we need to reach mental and physical maturity and protects us from things that disturb in it. He protects us through his commandments. You know it. 10 for example. And commandment seem they limited us. For example, you will not commit adultery. Adultery is adultery. This commandment has negative connotation, but it's in Hebrew sounds very positive because it's of specific. Because Hebrew is specific language, and correctly should be translated, you will do everything, you will make an effort to protect and care for your marriage. It's different, yes? It's different sense. It's not like you do not, but it's most like you will do everything. You will make an effort. It should be translated in this way if we talk about commandments, 10 commandments. So you will do everything to protect your marriage. It's like you will not commit adultery. It's a difference, yes? And our kids should know about it. So the 6th commandment said, you will do everything, you will make an effort to protect and care for your marriage. Okay.
So this definition of love is very practical. So to love means to protect and to provide. So when the kids are older and the boy says to girl, go to bed with me if you love me. So she can test him and ask the 2 questions. Is this offer to protect me? No. Is this offer to provide me something to my growth, development? No. So then she knows that he does not love her. It is not love that causes his offer. So she may answer, if you would love me, you would not offer me this. So there is another thing that we need to help our kids to hear, but we cannot tell it. So the thing is, we need to know, make sure that our kids know that their parents love each other and that they have a good sex. But we cannot tell it because sex is intimate thing, but we can make some suggestions or some, we can, I don't know how to say it in English, we may make it happen, not telling it. Like, we need to be nice to each other. We need to show ourselves kindness. We need to be close to one to another. So this way, it will communicate to our children that my parents love each other. They have good sex, and the sex was intended for marriage. So this is the best way to use it. So this would help them to say no and to say yes to the proper things. It will be stronger than the words and then the attitude of the world that is trying to abuse them. Especially it's important because a lot of families, maybe that we grew in or that their friends are growing, are very dysfunctional. And it's difficult for kids to listen to parents in this situation. So we need to take good care of our marriage, and that would pay off in the next generations. So how to talk, why to talk, what to talk about, when to talk. We touched these topics a little bit. And now we would like to have only a few topics that are important. At least in Poland, there were not topics that we talked much when we were kids. So our generation of parents, we do not have the skill, we do not process these things in a Christian environment, and we feel that we are responsible to talk about it to children, but we didn't hear it from adults when we were kids. So there are a few topics like this. We would like to shortly touch them. The first topic is pornography. If you want to remember something from this is the sentence. It is not kids who are looking for pornography. It is pornography which is looking for our children. Our son, the oldest one, when he was, 16, 15, he went for an international trip. I think it was Thailand or somewhere, with the groups of 6 or 7 kids from his school with 2 teachers. And there was one guy from different class, from our village, but different class, who used a lot his cell phone during this trip to watch pornography. And then our son said that he was very
Unpolite.
It's the too light word. I don't know how to say in English. Very abusive toward girls because of this. So we need to be very careful when we organize a trip of Josh McDowell a few years ago. We organized, everything, and one of the things was translator. So our translator traveled with us and did not understood a few words that Josh was using, and one of the words was the word for breasts, and she was not sure if this is the correct word in English, and she typed it on her cell phone on the Google Translator. But somehow the internet took her somewhere she didn't want, and she got virus on the cell phone and a lot of pornographic applications. She didn't know how to deal with this, and so in the next day she needed to restart her cell phone completely. So this is what happens to our children when we do not answer their questions. They just check it on the internet and got things that they should not get. So this is the pornography which is looking for our children. Another thing here is
Sexual abuse.
in a moment, yes, but I have here also this. And the scientific research say that when you are addicted, you can be addicted to alcohol, to drugs, but you could be addicted also to pornography. And they say that it is most difficult addiction to get rid of pornography. It's easier to stop drinking alcohol. It's easier to take drugs than to stop watching pornography. Why? Because when you do those things, in your brain there is dopamine appearing and making you feel good. You feel good with this. But with alcohol or drugs, you just take more. With pornography, you need to watch something else, something different. Yeah. And it is very difficult. So when we have some signs that our kids are involved in pornography, we should talk to them, be merciful, because probably they already tried to get rid of this, and it is not easy. We shall talk to them and we shall teach them how to deal with forgiveness of sins, that they would not be blamed and be involved more into this. Another topic, Anya.
Another topic I have sexual abuse. It's also very important. I can say shortly about it. So what is sexual abuse? It's one person's misuse of power over another person in sexual manner. And there are different kinds of sexual abuse that range from sexual innuendos, being forced to watch pornography, being touched inappropriately, and to rape. So all sexual abuse is harmful and wrong. What is important to know for us, like parents, we should be very careful and treat seriously what did your child say about, for example, somebody is touching me in intimacy place. And we should be very seriously and very careful about it and check it, of course. And we should be always on our child's side. Sexual abuse is real, hurts deeply, physically and spiritually. You should remember it's not only rape, because it can be wrong words and wrong touch. And causes shame or feeling of victim. So in this situation, our child needs support and help, and we, like parents, please don't increase his shame in this situation. And another thing about sexual abuse, not only males abuse child. Sexual abuse by women is more common than previously thought. So not only men abuse child, women also do it. So advice is be careful when child talk about it, and treat it seriously.
We can also share one tip we had in this area with our children. We explained to them that whatever covers swimming suit, imagine that you're in swimming suit, and whatever is covered by swimming suit shall not be touched or watched by anybody. And if somebody wants to touch or watch what the swimming suit covers, you shall tell us about it. So it was very clear, very easy, and it worked very well in our case. Another thing which is very popular, I think, in this generation, and our kids need to hear the truth and be prepared what is God saying about it, is living together before marriage or living together without marriage. Why people do it? When you ask them, some of them would say, we do it because a lot of marriages fall apart. A lot of marriages encountered a divorce, and we do not want to be like this. We just want to live like a trial. We want to try how it is to live together, if we match or we do not match. So their intention is, at least what they say, to build a strong relation, stronger, not to be destroyed by divorce. But there is, because this social way of living lasts some time, it was already researched. And the interesting thing is all the researches done say that the probability of divorce is much higher for the couples who lived together before marriage than for the couples who didn't live together before marriage. So you want to reach one thing, which is the stronger relation in the future, but you do what is, how to say, to destroy it. So we need to make our children aware of this, that it is not helping. And when people say we do it for the case, for the future of our marriage, it's not true. It's not working like this. Why is this like that? Because the wedding ring is making the difference. In marriage, we say, I will be with you for good and for bad, for healthy times and for sick times. And when you live without marriage together with somebody, there is no this commitment. And the commitment, the wedding ring, makes the difference. For men, living together is to answer the question if I want to marry that woman. And for women, it's like a between phase, dating, marriage, and in between there is living together. So it is when. So here are different goals. And imagine this. Imagine a man that has a nice place to live, nice lady he lives with. They have good sex. She is cleaning, washing, and cooking for him. Why shall he marry? And on the other hand, women are scared, okay, if I get pregnant, that he will leave me. So this having these two different attitudes in the brain is not leading to anything good. It is why if we want our children to have successful marriage, it's better that they would not try to live with somebody before marriage, and they need to know about it, and there is a lot of research to read about it. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So another topic is same-sex marriage. It's very popular in our, I can say, area, West Europe, or just Europe area. So you know about it. But it's also a difficult topic. But I want to look at this topic from point of view kids point of view, kids from this how to say, marriage families. So it's Minnie Fontana. It's a young lady, atheist, from Melbourne, and she is a kid of two moms. And she said, growing up with two mothers forced me to be confused about who I was and where I fit in the scheme of the world. Father's Day was particularly difficult. She was told, "You have another mother," as if that was supposed to console her. She not only felt a deep yearning for her father, but she also felt guilty for feeling as if she rejected her other mom when she shared her experience. So, from her story, and we can also look for another stories from another babies from same-sex marriage families, let's say, we can understand the same-sex marriage puts adults' desires above the needs of children, because children needs mom and dad. And kids in these families, they are often loved, but they are always missing the either the maternal or paternal love that they crave, because they don't know, for example, how father looks like, and what is a father love, or what is a mother love. So it's interesting point of view. And what about else? What else about same-sex marriage? So countries likes institution of marriage because it's 3 points. 1. Sex makes babies. We don't have in the world another way for procreation, only sex. So we need male and female and sex when we want to have a babies. Yes. The second point is society needs babies. The word śmiertelność, mortality is 100% in every.
Everybody dies.
Yes, in every country. Yes, it's true. Yeah. So, if nation wants to survive, they need babies. Yes. Our country, your country, every country needs babies to survive. So that's why the countries, governments, they need just marriage couple. I think not same-sex marriage, but different sex marriage couple. And babies need a mom and dad to healthy growth. To grow in like a healthy person. The babies need a love of mother, love of father, to grow in the healthy, to be healthy person, to be healthy member of society. Society. Okay, great.
Okay, thank you. Another thing is homosexuality. This is very broad topic, but let's talk about one or maybe two things only. One, when our daughter, she was 12, it was 2 years ago, she likes to take nice pictures, so she started her account on Instagram. And all the other things she likes, to have plenty friends. So she thought, hey, maybe this is a good opportunity to become friends with another girls that are my age and like to take pictures. And she did she called it random research. And on Instagram, on each account, you have it's called bio. It's like a few words about yourself. And she said that in 80% of the random chosen girls, her age on Instagram, they declared their sexual identity. It was like everybody almost did it, and almost all were like bisexual, homosexual, and very rare heterosexual. 12 years old girls interested in photography on Instagram. So we have the feeling that young children are somehow pushed to declare your sexual identity. Because friends would ask you, because Instagram and everybody is doing it, or because of some other reasons, and you have to ask the questions we didn't have to ask. I was born boy and I felt boy. Nobody questioned it, and nobody asked me to question this. But our children are in a different situation. So coming about homosexuality, coming back to this topic, what happened if your child, when he or she grows, would come to you and tell, Mom or Dad, I feel the sexual attraction to the same-sex people. What can you do about it? You may do two extreme things. One, throw him out of your house. Another, behave nothing happened. But we believe that there is a third way, something in between. And we shall do two things that are, it seems, like opposite. One, to love our child, and second, to tell the truth. And we shall not compromise any of them. So we shall not love them less, or we shall not tell them less truth, or change the truth. So we shall love them unconditionally, whatever sexuality they feel they are, and we shall tell them all the truth from the Bible, not to kind of be nice and not to tell them the truth. So probably there is a lot of books to read about it. I've read recently one book about a man who was maybe 30, 35 or something like this. He had a wife. I think they had 2 daughters. It was in the States, near the Baltimore or somewhere. And he was having the second life. He was actively involved, homosexual. And because a friend from his work invited him for some charismatic meeting at the church, he became Christian. And he said that immediately God took some homosexual things from him, but some not. So he wrote and the book he wrote, it's like after 30 years of becoming Christian. And he said that it took him 25 years of reading Bible every day, hour and a half, and deeply connecting with Jesus to understand some things, to kind of straight his life. And he believes that his identity is not his sexual identity, but it is his identity in Christ. But it took him a long process. And another thing he says that he doesn't feel sexual attraction to his wife after 25 years of this conversion. So these are difficult, complicated situations in which we shall support our children, love them, and teach them what the Bible says about.
Okay, so we have another topic. It's masturbation. It's it's difficult topic, and I think it's a big issue. When we gave this lecture, when we had a webinar in Polish for our parents from our course workshops, one lady, they have, after this webinar, they had a lot of questions about masturbation, because we don't have this topic in our webinar.
We didn't have. Initially.
In Polish, and first webinar, we didn't have this topic. They had a lot of questions about it. And also one lady said it was her problem, and she didn't know from when
she started.
When she started, she thinks it was when she was very, very young.
Like 4 years old.
4 years old, yes. And now she's like free from this because of Jesus.
After 35 years.
Yes, and she received Jesus, and Jesus took it from her. But this problem, masturbation, destroyed her marriage. She has 2 children, but she said this destroyed her marriage. So we decided to to talk a little bit about it, because it's a big issue, but I have only few things. So kids should know it's wrong. I know in our education, sexual education, in Poland we don't have it now, yet. But I know about it. It's like a, how to say, it's like a, not way, but it's modern sexual education to teach children how to masturbate. Yes, masturbate. Okay, so but it's wrong. It's and kids should know about it. And another parent said, "I want when I was child, I wanted to know it's wrong or right. I needed somebody who said me it's wrong. So it's wrong. Kids know should know about it. It's a big problem because it's like drugs and like pornography. And if kids has this problem, should he or she needs also help and professional help. And the problem is bigger when it's combined with pornography, because can destroy marriage, marriage of course, but it's also like this area of life, sexuality, at all, this whole area. I think it's an area which driven our life. The whole life, our life is organized around this area. And if this area is healthy, we are healthy. And when in this area we have problems in different areas also. So that's why this masturbation is a big problem, and this problem, masturbation, can destroy a lot of things in our life, not only marriage.
Thank you. The last thing is transgenderism. And this is the real story. A few months ago, friend of my friend, his son, he's 17, comes to his father and says, "Daddy, I need some money." Okay, what do you need the money for? I need the money for operation. You are sick? You need an operation? No, I'm not sick. I need an operation. I want to change my sex. I want to be a girl. And the father was shocked. So after the first shock, they went to the psychologist. And they are sitting in the psychologist, dad, son, and the psychologist. And one of the questions, first question, to the boy: how do you want me to talk to you? As to her or as to him? No, of course, as to her. The father is shocked again. So, another question. Do you have your female name already? Yes, I do. Father is already white like a wall. And then, do you often try to walk in a women's clothes? Yes, I do. And the father was completely shocked. So these things may happen to us, like we never know, we never expect when this may happen to us. So what we shall know about it? That there are no any proven data that operation of changing sex brought permanent solution, brings the permanent solution for the psychological problems of people who do not feel well in their body in terms of the sexuality. So the operation does not help. It's expensive, it's painful, but there is no proof that it helps to the psychological problems. And people who do not feel safe or I don't know how to say, do not feel that they live in the right sexuality, in the right body, they have a lot of problems. Like, this is the data from the States. 41% of transgender people had a suicidal tries, trying to commit suicide. 41. When the average of suicidal attempts in the States is 1.6. Okay, so in the whole society, for 100 people, 1.6 tries to commit suicide, and in the transgender group, 41 out of 100. It's almost half. So those people feel very bad, and they have a lot of psychological problems. What if that happens to our child? They need love, and they need truth. And there is a hope for parents with the younger teenagers that changes. Like we mentioned, our daughter, she's now 18. When she was in first grade in high school, she had a friend who was dating another girl. In the second grade, they were not dating. In the third grade, she is dating a boy. So this is changing. We shall not panic too much, but we shall talk. We shall have good relation with children, and we shall explain. We shall talk. Our house should be a safe place to talk about everything, about God, about school, and about sex. So the application from today's webinar is talk to your children about sex. Okay, thank you.
Every time.
Every time. Our children say, could you not talk to us about sex during the dinner? So if they ask not to, you can stop during the dinner time. Okay, thank you very much.